Hello, everyone, and welcome to what I think will be a very unique conversation about QuickBooks Live and the future of accounting. I'm Blake Oliver. I'm a CPA and the co-host of the Accounting Podcast, where we break down accounting news and interview the people making it. I'm also the founder of Earmark, an app that lets accountants earn CPE credits anytime, anywhere.
And hello, everybody. My name is Itai Jeczmien. I am the Vice President of Product and Segment Lead for Small Business Live Offerings. I lead the team at QuickBooks, working to connect people to experts.
Let's kick this off. Itai, I'd love to go back to the beginning, 4 years ago when QuickBooks Live launched. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so the company, as we operate in the company, we start with our mission. And our mission is really to power prosperity around the world. And we start there, and how we think about that, and our customer problems are centered to that. As we start looking and peeling and understanding what that means for small businesses, you very quickly realize that a success of a business is significantly better when they have an accountant that is helping them with their journey. And they have a lot of work, obviously, to manage their business itself. But on top of that, there is a very different thing to manage your business and understand how the business is performing and helping them with all of that. And these are critical pieces that we realize that there's a massive gap today in many of the businesses. A lot of them don't have access to accountants, and they don't have an accountant that is attached to their business or connected with their business that's helping them make the right decisions to grow their business.
So it was this need to connect people to experts that was the driver of this, really helping these small businesses. The launch didn't quite go as well with accountants. There were some concerns with competition. Some folks felt that QuickBooks Live is now competing with me, with my accounting firm. Would you care to address those issues, those concerns?
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that question in there, because I think it's at the core in there, and understanding how we're thinking about this whole thing and where is the play in what we're thinking about solving for these needs. We strongly believe that customers have the right and the position to be able to choose how they get help. We're here to provide the options for them with our pro advisory community, with our own live solutions, and making sure that we can actually cater for their needs. It's a customer problem, and so we really build live in order to cater for that. In addition, I think the other part which is important is that when you think about the variety of jobs and you think about what firms are doing, there's a lot of jobs that are not appealing to them, right? They want to focus on advisory, for instance, and other jobs which are upmarket, but they are actually struggling because they have to deal with bookkeeping and manage bookkeeping as well. That's an opportunity actually for them to focus on what they want to do and where they want to focus their firms versus delivering other jobs that they don't see value in that Live can actually help solve. And then the third point I would say is that we have the Pro Advisor program. And if we're not fit for the customer, or the customer needs something that we can't offer, we refer them. And that has been always the case, and it's always a part of our platform.
Well, we're on the same page. We all want to help that end client, the end customer for QuickBooks. What steps is Intuit taking to rebuild trust with accountants?
So the first thing that we do is we engage our accountant in a constant manner. So they know our products, they know what we're releasing, how we're changing, what is changing in the product, and how we're thinking about evolving the products that we have. We're bringing them along on the journey with us. We're having sessions with them to have an open dialogue to understand concepts and run concepts with them to see how they're actually, how it resonates with them. And then, we maintain a constant, obviously, active engagement when it comes to any change that we're doing in products, so that it's not surprising to them. So there's a whole team that's focusing on that and ensuring that we're connecting with them in an active base and having an open dialogue and transparency on the product and changes that we're doing and how we're thinking about going forward as part of the evolution of the product.
One of the major issues affecting the accounting profession right now is the talent shortage. We simply just don't have enough accountants or bookkeepers to do the work. And firms are turning away clients because they don't have the resources. Can you speak to the role of QuickBooks Live in helping to address those issues in firms?
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring actually an excellent point, because the way we're thinking about QuickBooks and the evolved thinking around how do we really make use of what we call FMS, which is really a financial management system. We're actually thinking about that as a platform. And we want to make sure that we're actually addressing a variety of different needs in there and helping accountants connect as part of what we do today with our pro advisors, but also really rethink what that model could look like as part of an evolution of the vision that we have. And the vision that we have is that there's a system there. We have live services, there's accountants, and we can work together to build a network effect that really helps both areas, both businesses or both individuals, accountant and Intuit as a whole. And the way I think about it is if you're trying to grow your business and you need a certain amount of services or jobs, Intuit or live services can fulfill it. You can have your clients be fulfilled through what we have today in our live services and our offerings. And vice versa, there are things that we may be challenged to complete as well and do as part of the jobs that we have, like advisory and different other jobs that exist today, that we can then refer to accountants to help out. So we're thinking about the evolution of what we used to call, the platform itself, which is purely, a bookkeeping software, into a software plus humans that are actually working together. And the humans are a combination of people that, we bring, experts that we bring in, and others that participate as part of that. And by doing that, we believe that we can solve some of the shortfalls and challenges that exist today in the industry.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So the future that we're looking at is software and people together. And these are people that might work at Intuit. These are pro advisors who are independent, all collaborating together to serve those small business owners.
Yes, exactly. And I think it goes even beyond to that. I think with the shortfall in general, when you think about that, there's an opportunity for education as well. And so we can have programs of education, right, that are helping actually bring in more people into the industry and making sure that we're getting really certified accountants that can actually participate as part of the workforce. We're doing it in taxes today, which is completely open and you can participate. And many of them actually have private practices themselves. Actually, majority have private practices. So it doesn't go
it's not one or the other.
It's not one or the other. You can do both and get the benefit of that. And if you're starting your practice as well, you can very quickly get some experience, because it's very hard to start and get the training and the experience with Intuit. And then you can go about, starting doing what you do with us and then do your own business as a parallel part.
I like that a lot, because when I started my practice, I was a freelance bookkeeper. I was a pro advisor. That's how I got started in accounting. And I was a career changer. And for me, there were very few resources to teach me how to do this if I didn't go through a traditional accounting education path. And my hope is that QuickBooks Live will produce more accountants, more bookkeepers who maybe have non-traditional backgrounds, because I think you said that you accept experts into your program from all sorts of different places.
Yeah, totally. And we have prosperity hubs as well that we build to go into specific locations that we want to actually bring in and elevate, the access to education so they can learn and work at the same time. And so that's another form of that, which is, again, it's a part of the mission of really powering prosperity. And prosperity comes in many ways, and right? It's not limited only to driving the prosperity of businesses or customers. It's actually the network itself and individuals like you've started, and helping them make the right choices. They give them the options to actually get the educations and get into a new practice that they want to go into.
You mentioned the prosperity hubs. I want to talk about the flexibility of what it's like to work as a QuickBooks Live bookkeeper, because I find that really fascinating. The accounting profession has not always been known as this flexible kind of place to work. Long hours, you have to be in the office. But that's not how the QuickBooks Live workforce operates.
Yeah.
Flexible schedules, you can work at home. And it's funny, at first, I guess I thought okay, this is kind of a threat to accounting firms, right? Like, why would somebody want to work at a firm if they can go do this? But also, in a way, it pushes the accounting profession forward, because now there is this flexible opportunity. And we've had people leaving the profession for so long because they don't have it. I mean, we 25% of accounting majors end up finishing their degree. Only 25%. And we wonder why. And maybe it's because they don't see a flexible opportunity when they graduate. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, you bring an excellent point. And by the way, as part of my previous role, which is building capabilities that are enabling many of the services that we had having Intuit, one of the biggest requirements that we had is actually creating a flexible model and a schedule model, not for customers, but for employees. And the reason that we've had that in there, and it's not just for this area, but all other areas that we provide today, services, product services and expert services across accounting, CPAs and so forth, like all of that really was enabling us to attract the right talent and really bring in individuals. If you look at the Gen Zs today, they want to do a lot of things. They want to do a variety of things. They want to do it in their own terms. They want to do it in their own location. They want to have flexibility. And that's what we're really enabling through this platform. And I think this is why it's really powerful, because it gives you option.
One of the bigger challenges in accounting firms is response times, getting back to clients. That's the number one reason that they leave their accountant. How can QuickBooks Live help accountants with that challenge?
Well, one of the things that we make sure, again, it goes back to the problems and the customer problems that we have, and the way we think about our solutions as well, and the areas and KPIs that we're monitoring is trusted expert. That's one of our key metrics that we follow. And what that means is that when a customer wants to connect with us, they have the ability to connect with that in a reasonable amount of time, right? And that is within the same day or whatever we deem that service, service level. And I think with us and having the network and having the ability to do that at scale, it gives the continuum that doesn't exist today with other practices and other accountants out there. So by partnering, for instance, with Intuit, you can have your client get support or different things handled when your practice is not really in operation. Maybe they have a question that comes up at 9 p.m. At night, or they're in a different time zone and they want to get support on that. Or, the accountant firm is fully backed up and there's, lag until the response time. What Intuit can do through this combination of that platform notion is you can defer jobs and we can have a follow-up with you on very specific questions that you may have that you want to have clarity on. And I think this is where the kind of the core of the question is. There is the best of both worlds coming together, right? That things can drive, everything can actually elevate the experience for our customers by having this combination of accountant and job-specific jobs that is driving the continuum with Intuit that we can provide, which is very difficult to other practices to do at scale.
Yeah, I mean, with technology, you can enable a QuickBooks customer to simply book a time with a bookkeeper and get the help they need right away. Often, how quick is it? It can be within hours?
It can be instantaneous, yeah. One of the things that we're doing, and we've declared, for instance, Intuit Assist, for instance, and the way we're actually re-envisioning how we're thinking about expertise in general, it's AI powered with humans and really woven together, right, in there. So we want to make sure that customers have the choice to get the questions or ask the questions that they have and get the answers that they want digitally in the most effective way. And there's this transformation that's going on today, obviously with generative AI and all the innovations there. And always have a path to a human if they need to an expert, right? So you can get that information. By having that, you really can marry technology and expertise together in a seamless way that feels like a continuum. The other side of that we see a lot as well is that we're having conversations with customers, for instance, and there's a bunch of follow-ups that need to happen. They may need some documents, they may need some information that they need to follow up with, and it actually slows everything down. Now, by the end of the conversation, the business is involved in 100 different activities. They're running their business. And well, what were their action items that we talked about? What was the, I'm forgetting all the things that I needed to do in order to progress forward. So digitally, what you could do is send the reminder, summarize the conversation in there, highlight the right points that were discussed in the conversation. And you don't need a human to do that. It automatically brings in, hey, remember, you have your appointment scheduled with Blake on Wednesday. These are the 3 things you need to do. We've noticed that you've uploaded 1 document that is needed in here. There are 2 follow-ups that are still pending, for instance.
I mean, that's amazing, because so much of our time as accountants is just wasted following up on documents or something that we had agreed that the business owner would do, and they haven't done it yet. If Intuit Assist can do that inside of QuickBooks or however they're interacting with it, I mean, that could be a real time saver. And that takes us back to the talent shortage, which is we just simply don't have enough people to do the work.
Yeah, totally. I think we can optimize the delivery by having the tools and the capabilities. You get all the benefits to do that. You can think about jobs in general and what you want to do as a firm, and you want to go up market as well. You may want to focus on other type of services that is really hard for you to do because you're carrying a lot of services. They're not adding a lot of value for you. And you can defer these potentially to QuickBooks.
When we think about the initial reaction to QuickBooks Live, one of the interesting reactions was, this is more than I charge for this, right? That QuickBooks Live actually came out at a slightly higher price point than some bookkeepers or accountants even are charging. And people were a bit shocked, like, how could this be? And to me, I see that actually as a very positive thing, in the sense it's setting a floor on the price. And accountants, we have struggled to price our services properly, to get the value that we create. And so in many ways, what Intuit is doing is creating a standardization of, like, this is what the minimum should be for bookkeeping, right? A minimum level of quality, minimum level of price. And then for accountants and pro advisors, all we have to do is do more than that.
Yeah.
It's good in the sense that we don't have standardization of that in this country. There's nobody saying this is how bookkeeping should be done. Well, until QuickBooks Live came along and said this is what is going to be included.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we, as we think about pricing, we do a lot of research to understand pricing and how we think about pricing. And many of the pricing was looking at what is reasonable from the industry, all the accountants that are operating today, and come up with something which is realistic, right? That is actually enabling us to give an excellent service to customers, right? Ensuring that we're delivering our promise to our customers, and really creating it in a price point which is reasonable, right? Which is something that we want to do as well, because eventually we want businesses to succeed. At the end of the day, it's the success of the customer and the business. So we want to give them that service, and we want to create the right level. And that right level is a benchmark between what exists in the market and how we're, positioning the offering, what we believe, and through elasticity, what we find is to be the right place. But I think it's a great point as well to say, hey, we didn't come with a price point that is, significantly low, or trying to break through maybe the overall economics of the model that exists today with accounting, but really come with something which is fair, right? Which is something that can help set that up for the rest of the industry, but also something that we believe that is, priced accordingly so we can deliver the service. We don't want to cut corners. We want to make sure that we really deliver the service for customers.
And you're doing it with a quality control process in place across the whole division.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which doesn't happen a lot of times with small business owners, who they'll hire an independent bookkeeper, and we all get clients where this happens, and then the books are a mess, and they've been paying for this service. And I think that is it's a really positive change with the development of this service, because now we're going to have, again, like a minimum standard, right? This is what needs to happen for the books to get closed on a monthly basis, right?
Yeah, totally. And we're not fully there on everything. So one of the things that we're doing is ensuring that we have really tight, clear standards that are transparent as well, that everybody can see in a line. Again, we're going to work with accounting firms and accountants as well to compile that, because as we think about standards as well, it may deviate and change. It's not a standard, but a variety of standards that we need to have by the type of customer and what's specifically important for that, ensuring that the way we do the books, the way we, for instance, classify, categorize things, transactions, right? These need to be pretty much aligned to the way that enables the business to understand the business performance in the most effective way, right? So creating these standards and partnership will create transparency. Because the other way around is that if we're doing work or guiding someone, right, to do work, we want to make sure we're guiding in a way that is transparency to an accountant as well, so they understand how we're guiding them to do classifications, for an example, right? So that's the other part of that. So yes, there's a big part of control, a big part of ensuring that there's consistency in control. The other part is ensuring that there's transparency and that these standards are shared across so everybody can understand the bookkeeping standards that we're operating in, right? So there's no surprises, and we want to partner with accountants, with the accounting community in order to do that in the most effective way.
One of the challenges that the accounting profession has faced is a lack of diversity. How could QuickBooks Live help with that?
We employ a massive amount of network of domain experts that are operating within our services. And by having that flexibility that we talked about before, by having the ability to operate virtually, you actually get and tap into other parts of the country that you can't do otherwise, which helps us get to diversity. There's also intentionality, right, in making sure that we're ensuring that we're getting underrepresented minorities as part of the diversity of the workforce that we have.
That's a really good point about being able to reach across the whole country when it comes to diversity, because one of the challenges firms have is that they may only be in one city. And if that city itself isn't particularly diverse, it's a real challenge for them to recruit and to try to, say, increase that diversity. But Intuit, with its national, even global reach, can do things that weren't even possible before.
Yeah, absolutely. Blake, I have a question for you. What do you see as the biggest opportunities that we have as we're partnering with accountants and we think about QuickBooks Live and evolving services? Where do you see the biggest opportunities for us to continue to build on that partnership?
I mentioned I started as a freelance bookkeeper, and I gradually built a firm. And building that team of bookkeepers was a real challenge. And now that I'm a CPA, I can see why so many accountants struggle to build that team. And so the opportunity I see is, if we can develop this partnership more, it's the ability for me as a CPA to access bookkeeping help for my clients on demand when they need it, without them having to go through me, so that I can continue to do whatever it is I do, whether that's tax or advisory or consulting, and I don't have to solve that problem. And in an environment where it's really hard to hire people, that could be really compelling. I could grow my practice, move up in the terms of the value of what I deliver, without having to solve this. And it might be something Intuit has solved.
And I love that point, because it goes back to that vision that we have. How do we think about QuickBooks as a platform, right? And really think about it as a combination of jobs. Mm-hmm. And then who fulfills the jobs is a network of experts, right? And we figure out where do we have gaps and who needs to actually fulfill that, who wants to fulfill that. And we have accountants that can actually delegate some of that, and we can delegate others. It goes back to the same point you're saying, that partnership is something which is very compelling to do. And what would you say is, if you think about the critical pieces that are important, if we were to do something like that, what would be the most important piece that we need to make sure that we have in order to make it really compelling and attractive?
So for me, it's got to be review. I need to know that there's either been a review of the books, or that I have a tool so that I can evaluate the work. Make sure the work's being done okay. Because even if I am outsourcing it, and and somebody else is doing it, I'm still ultimately responsible for the success of my clients.
Got it. So basically, transparency and understanding on the books and what was done in the job, and really having access and understanding. It goes back, I think, to the standards that we talked about. What standards are you using?
Exactly.
Are they following the right structure that I want to have for this type of client, and making sure that I can see it and understand the quality and everything that was delivered and the work that was delivered on their behalf.
Just like in an accounting firm, when you close the books for a bigger client, you have a close checklist and you have sign-offs. So I can see, okay, here's who reconciled that bank account, and here's when they did it, and here's their initials. And here's the work paper that I can go look at if I need to. That sort of audit trail, if you will, would go a long way, I think.
So back to the point that we've touched before, I'm really eager to hear from you. How do you think QuickBooks Live can benefit the overall accountant population in their practice in general, knowing the type of services that we offer, and in general, touching on the points that we talked about earlier about need to scale and grow and jobs. Like, I'm just eager to hear from you. What's your take on that, and how they can see that as part of their practice?
So I grew a firm, and it took years, and I had to hire a lot of people in order to do bookkeeping for my clients. Most accountants aren't really interested in doing that, and that is the barrier to serving these clients holistically, to giving them everything they need. They need bookkeeping, not just tax. They need advisory, but it's hard to do advisory if you don't have good books. And so I really see QuickBooks Live as bridging that gap. So if I don't want to build a practice, hire a bunch of people, I can leverage a service like this, and I can get this work done for my clients so that I can do what I'm good at. And in a perfect world, that means that I, as a CPA or an accountant, I have more time. We're all overworked. We all want to work less. We've got more clients than we can handle. So wouldn't it be great if this was not something we had to worry about, and we could get away from our desks more and spend more time outside instead of answering somebody's question about, how to enter a transaction?
Yeah, that's a great positioning. Again, in line, with what we talked about on helping really practices scale and really focus on what they want to focus on and not be limited.
And to go back to the QuickBooks customer, now they're getting the answer that they need instead of waiting on me to get back to them.
Yeah.
And I've got this pile of emails in my inbox already, right? So everybody wins.
Yeah.
So, but we have to see it as not a zero-sum game. It's not that, now that Intuit offers bookkeeping, these clients are going from, my firm to Intuit. It's expanding the pie for all of us.
Yeah.
So I think we have to abandon that scarcity mindset as accountants. And we really have to think, what can I do more than what I've been doing in the past?
Yeah, no, I like that, because I think, if you take everything that we just talked about earlier as well, and you think about the shortage that we have, right? And we know that because accountants are indicating to us as well. There's a big shortage.
Yeah.
And talented people that can actually do this type of work because of the reasons that we talked about before. I think this is where you get that network effect that the vision is where the vision is going, really, that enables us to figure out how do we position it differently so it's not a competing piece, but it's actually helping me grow the practice, helping me grow in the areas that I want, and it gives me the flexibility. And how do I use that with a very specific intention to figure out how do I think about my clients and what jobs I want to do versus other jobs that I don't want to do, and actually potentially, getting the support and a better experience for them that I can't deliver today, which is also making me look better and creates a better brand for accountants in general.
And let's compare this to the option that we have now, which a lot of times is offshoring. Offshore bookkeeping work in order to keep it within your firm to do this for your clients. But that's often kind of a suboptimal experience because there's such a delay in time zones. And I just don't like the idea of taking these really good bookkeeping jobs and sending them overseas. Like, let's keep them here if we can. And like, that's what is really appealing, I think, about these prosperity hubs.
Yeah.
There's so many millions of Americans who could do this kind of work that have been excluded from the accounting profession for so long because they didn't go to college, or they didn't do an accounting major. And they can totally learn how to do this. I am a career changer. I did this. I majored in music, and I learned how to do accounting, and it's changed my life for the better. So I hope more people have access to accounting careers because of this.
Totally, and it's such a core part of our mission in the company as well, of driving really empowering prosperity around the globe. Empowering that prosperity starts here. With us, and giving the accessibility there is a huge part of it. And this is what we've really invested in that as part of our network. So awesome to hear that. We've covered a lot of topics today. And you as a representative of the community, what would you think accountants wanted to hear? Is there anything else we wanted to bring up which you think is very important for the accounting community to hear?
I would just say that as an accountant, I don't really like surprises. So anything you can do, anything Intuit can do in the future to just keep us in the loop would be greatly appreciated. And then give us access to the tools, right? We love it when there's new ways that we can serve clients and get help. And so I think, I'm looking forward to, as an accountant, seeing what QuickBooks Live becomes. And I think we are all excited to use it as a way to help our clients together succeed.
Like, that totally resonates and in line with what we've talked about earlier. We're going to bring the community along on the journey and make sure we have the tight connection as we're changing and updating our products. And with that, I want to wrap up our conversation and discussion today. I want to thank each of you for listening. We want to continue to be proactive in communicating what we're doing with our QuickBooks Live offering, and love to hear your feedback.
And I'm really excited about what Intuit's doing with QuickBooks Live, and I'm encouraged by what Itai shared today. Obviously, we couldn't cover everything in the short time we had, so let's continue the conversation in the comments below, on my podcast, and in person, wherever we talk next.